Hey everybody, like my t-shirt? Couldn't resist it. I thought I would jump on and do a video for you to show you how to do your skin and create the perfect base for going out. Because we've got all these Christmas parties and New Year's Eve parties we want to look our best for, and we want our base to stay and our skin to look as good as it can. So here we go. Skincare, very important. First thing that you really need to do is exfoliate. So make sure you give your skin a good scrub with a gentle exfoliant. I use Dermalogica Daily Microfoliant because that's just one of my faves, and you can use it every day. So I do that in the shower, and then when I come out of the shower I put on a light moisturiser, and I mean light, none of these heavy night creams. So I use Simple, so pop that on. Now it's really important to wait 20 minutes before you start your makeup routine, because that moisturiser has to sink into your skin. I've seen quite a lot of tutorials where they put the moisturiser on and then they put the foundation on, and I'm thinking, no, that's fine if you want like a tinted moisturiser, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're mixing your moisturiser with your foundation that way. But if that's not what you want, if you want a proper base that's going to stay all night, you need to let your moisturiser sink in first. That's really important. So give it like 20 minutes. What I normally do is put my moisturiser on, then I put my deodorant on, faff around, work out my outfit, get my earrings ready. So by that time, it would have sunk in. Right, so let's get to it. The first thing you want to do is put a primer on. This is really important. I'm using, can you see that one? I'm using, what am I using today? 020 Pore Perfecting Primer, Rose Gold. It's a clear liquid. This pops on and it basically preps your skin for the foundation, and it also helps it stay on longer, which is perfect because that is what we want. So just use your fingers to put this in because it really helps sink into the skin that way. Far better, I think, than using a brush for this part of it. Okay, make sure it goes everywhere that your foundation will go, and that is onto your neck too, because you don't want two-tone face. So your foundation doesn't just stop there, because we don't want that line. Right, next thing, you can go straight away with your foundation. I am using Focalor Skin Evolution. This is a really lovely light foundation, but it covers a lot, which is great for an evening out especially. Not something I'll probably use day to day, because I'm quite lucky in the skin department, I guess. I don't need too much covered. But you pop it on first of all, and then use your brush. I use Real Techniques Expert Foundation Brush. I love all their brushes. I find them really affordable and do the job perfectly, and I've used these brushes for many years on many makeup clients. So you're really pushing the foundation into your skin, not too briskly, just a medium touch, and using circles to really buff that foundation. And you want to put it everywhere, over your eyelids, over your lips, everywhere that makeup is going, because it's a base. So we want it underneath everything. Over your eyes, over your eyelashes, all of that. And then bring the excess down onto your neck. Now I've used a slightly darker shade than my face, you may have noticed, because I am browner on my chest, and that is the colour that you want to match to. You don't want to match to your face or your neck, you want to match to your chest area. Now, if you're wearing a polo neck and you're going out, that's absolutely fine, you don't have to match to that, but match to anything that's showing. And there's hardly anything left on the brush now, but we're just blending it down so we don't get any line, because I'm sure you'll agree that's not a good look. Okay, when you're happy that's all blended in, okay, you can move to powder. But if you want to, this foundation is buildable. So that means you could put another layer on now. Once this is sunk in, which it has now, you could put another layer on. But that's totally up to you and how much coverage you want. If you want a thicker coverage, if that's what you're comfortable with, or if you're quite happy for a medium coverage. I'm happy like this. So I'm going to go on now to, actually, I'm going to put my concealer on now. You can put this before or after foundation, but honestly I like to put this on after foundation, because if you put it on before and then you buff in your foundation, you've kind of just buffed this into nothing and it's disappeared. So you really want to put it on after foundation to get the most out of it. Now go lighter than your foundation. As you can see, mine's pretty light. Oh my god, it looks white. But don't worry, it's all good. Once we buff this in, it'll be perfect. Take it down because you want a triangle, an upside down triangle. And then I put a little bit on top of my eyelids as well, because I like a nice good base for eyeshadow. And also I've got some veins, etc. My skin's quite thin. I've then taken a small buffing brush. This is from the Real Techniques Eye Starter Set. And I'm going to do the same like I did with my foundation brush, just buff it using small circular motions. Now liquid is really the best product to use. Oh, I didn't say which this was. It was their Big Cover by Focalure. I'll put all the links within this video anyway, so if you want any of them, it's easy to find. But you've probably got your own products which you can use perfectly well. Buff this in, right in, so there's no telltale lines. As you can see, it's just brightened up my under eye. And once I put my powder on, they'll all come together really well. You can create a bit of a highlight down your face too. Just pop a tiny bit down the middle. Nothing crazy. Not like the YouTube videos where they put on a ton. Once you get to a certain age, you don't want to be using a lot of creamy highlighters and concealers, because the cream is much denser and it will settle into those fine lines, especially under your eyes, which you don't want. Doesn't matter if you're 20, obviously, you've got no lines. But when you're 45, like me, you do. So you just got to be careful of that, not putting too much product where your lines are. So we just buff that in slightly. So now you can see all buffed in and a highlight down the center of my face. Next thing we want to do is powder. So you can use pressed powder or you can use loose powder. Now, pressed powder, if you want to use that, that's perfectly fine. But the main thing is you need to press it into your face, not wipe it all over, because then you're moving your foundation. So what you really need to do, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, is grab your pressed powder, pat down into the powder, and then roll it like that motion onto your face. You're actually pressing that powder in. Okay, so loose powder. I am using the Focalure number 2 today, and my Real Techniques foundation powder brush. I am loosely, just gently, so as not to move around my foundation, just buffing that into my skin. Everywhere. You want to go everywhere, over your eyelashes. Going over your eyelashes with powder actually helps thicken them. You know, like those little fibres you get on some of those mascaras with the white, that builds up the thickness. And doing this does a similar job. There we go, that's enough. Now, be careful of putting too much under your eyes if you've got wrinkles, because that will draw attention to them. So keep the powder light under those areas if you need to. Okay, so that is my base done. Next, I'm going to go with a contour. But I'm not going to do those heavy cream contours. No. I use a powder. Now, what I'm using today is Maybelline Master Control. So we've got the contour, the blush and a highlighter. This is a really good, cost-effective little kit, which is really good every day. I use it for everyday wear. So I'm going to go in, tap off the excess. If you don't tap off excess powder, it tends to fall down on other parts of your face that you don't want it to. So to get your contour line, mine is here. So it is the top of your ear. So it's top of your ear to the corner of your mouth. So that is the line we will follow, but we won't go near the mouth because that's just too much. We'll stop it about here, okay? Wherever you put your brush on first is where you get the most product. So don't put it on down there, start up here first, and very lightly. You can always add, but it's harder to take off. If you want to do fish face, do that first. That helps you sometimes find your line if you're finding it tricky. You can see my line straight away there. You can do small circles. We don't want a massive stripe down the face. That's not what we want. It's going to be heavier than day-to-day wear, because obviously this is for evening party. If you're doing it for your day-to-day wear, just go easy. So kind of a curved motion, because our faces are curved, not straight lined. We're not robots. I feel like it sometimes. So just in a curve. And that's really now bringing the dimension back into the face after you've blanked it out with all the foundation and powder. Okay, so once you're happy with that, you can move on to the forehead. Now you don't need to do this. If you have a small forehead, there's no reason at all for you to do this. The only reason we contour is to balance our faces, because beauty is all about balance. So if you look at the most beautiful face, you'll see it's perfectly symmetrical. That's what scientific studies have shown. So really, makeup is all about making our face as balanced as we can, and therefore creating beauty, apparently. So I have done my forehead, so I've done these sections here, and I've just brought it over the top a little bit, all the while circular motions, because we don't want any harsh lines being left, just buffing it into the skin where it's needed. Now you can also contour your jaw if you feel like you need a little bit of extra help here. If you're feeling a bit podgy, this can help hide that. You just follow your jawline very carefully. Because my chin's quite pointy, I like to contour the end of it, and that just shortens it really slightly, because that's what contouring is. It's creating shadows, fake shadows. Now, if your nose needs a bit of contouring, we can do that too. You can take the buffing brush that you used for under your eyes and just create two lines down your nose near the front. If you make them too near the sides, you'll make your nose appear bigger or whiter. So keep them towards the front of your nose. And as always with contouring, go lightly, because it's always easier to add and it's harder to take away. If you do end up with too much and you think, oh, help, just grab your powder brush and a bit of powder and buff it in, and it'll be fine. I like to do a little V on the end of my nose. Try and shorten it a bit under there, but every nose is different. So I do laugh when I watch some of these tutorials which say, this is exactly what you've got to do. It's like every face is different, so every face will need different things. But if you find you'd like to narrow your nose, then you do this. If you've got a narrow nose anyway, obviously you don't need to do that step at all. And if you want to shorten your nose, you can just do there. A little help. Okay, so I'm happy with that now. Next step is blusher. So I am going to use this beautiful new product that I just got, Ultralight Baked Blush Faux Color Face. It's a really pretty and has a slight shimmer to it, which I love. And I'm using my blush brush by Real Techniques. I'm smiling to show the fatness, the apple of the cheek. And you want to go on from there and back. You can do circular motions. But this brush is quite big, so I want to not get it anywhere that I don't want it to go. Oh, it's a lovely shimmer to that. I'm liking that very much. And a lovely colour too. This might have to be my new daily obsession. There we go. Okay. So that's the skin. We could finish there. We could just pop a highlight on. I usually do that at the very end of my makeup, but I'll put it on now so you can see the finished results. I will use that highlight there from the kit that I used earlier for the contour. So don't forget to tap. Okay, and then the highlight goes at the very top of your cheekbone. If you feel your cheek, and you can feel the bone, you feel the very top of it there, just under the eye, not too close to the eye, just here, and then just gently apply. And you can put up to the temples too. Can you see that glow? And then same the other side. I'm using a MAC brush. The number's rubbed off because I've used it obviously so many times. Oh, 183, I think. I'm a big fan of MAC too, but I like to try different things and things that aren't so expensive, because being a makeup artist, I had the luxury of buying a lot of MAC things. But not everyone does day to day. So that's why I look at different products, something that's a bit more really cost effective, but really just as good. As you saw, I just did the tip of my nose. That just gives a little bit of shimmer. Up to you where you want to put that. If you want to put that, try it out. If you like it. Cupid's bow. There we go. So that is the skin done, dusted. Next thing I would do is eyebrows. So if you'd like to watch that, then I'll put that in the next video. See ya.